Hello everyone. Welcome to a new session of Morphology of the Flowering Plants NCERT revision. So in this session we are going to revise about flower. Okay, so let us start this session. The flower is a reproductive unit in the angiosperm. So angiosperm possesses reproductive unit as a flower. Reproductive unit as a flower. It is meant for sexual reproduction. So what is the function of any flower? So they participate in the process of reproduction. Process of reproduction. Because they are having the reproductive organ, male reproductive organ and female reproductive organ. So here anther and filament, it is a unitedly called as stamen, that is the male reproductive organ. Now we are having the three different organ in the female reproductive part, that is stigma, style and ovary. So they are called as pistil or carpel. Pistil or carpel. Okay. So a typical flower has 4 different kinds of whorls arranged. So here we can see the outermost whorl, that is the sepal. It is green in color. It is green in color because they possesses chlorophyll pigment in the plastid. Okay. And the next whorl, the next inner whorl is the petal. Here you can see petals. Petals. Okay. So, and the next inner whorl is the stamen. And the innermost whorl is the pistil or carpel. So all these whorls, sepal, petal, stamen and pistil, they are attached where? They are attached at thalmus. Okay. So a typical flower has 4 different kinds of whorls arranged successively on the swollen end of the stalk or a pedicel. So this is something like stalk or a pedicel, which is called as thalamus or receptacle. Very important. Thalamus or receptacle. So all the 4 whorls are attached to this swollen part or a stalk part, which is called as thalamus or stamen. Thalamus or receptacle. Okay. These are calyx, corolla, androecium. So the 4 whorls, okay, they are called as calyx, corolla, androecium, and the innermost whorl is gynoecium. The calyx and corolla are the accessory organ. They are called as accessory organ, whereas the androecium and gynoecium are called as reproductive organ, because androecium is the male reproductive organ and the gynoecium is the female reproductive organ, and they part in the process of fertilization or reproduction, we can say. So that is why they are called as reproductive organ. But this calyx and corolla, they do not participate in reproduction, but yes, they are accessory organ. They are considered as an accessory organ because sepals protect the inner whorls of the flower. They protect the inner whorls of the flower. And petals attract insects. They attract insects for the process of pollination. So without pollination, without the protection of the inner whorls of the flower, the reproductive part cannot take place. So accessory organ are also very important. Okay. So calyx and corolla are the accessory organs of the flower, whereas androecium, gynoeciums are the reproductive organs. So if we are studying the flower, then flower will be studied in the following head. The first one is about the sex of the flower. Unisexual flower and bisexual flower. We are having two different types of flower. Okay, unisexual flower means male flower will be and female flower will be separate. Male and female flower will be separate. Bisexual flower means both male and female reproductive organ will be present in the same flower. Okay, now symmetry. Actinomorphic, zygomorphic and asymmetrical flower. So there are three different types of symmetry of the flower. Floral appendages, trimerous, tetramerous, pentamerous. How many appendages are present? On the basis of that, the flower can be trimerous, tetramerous or pentamerous. So three different floral appendages. Bracts. If the bract is present, then flower is called as bracteate, and if the bract is absent, then it is called ebracteate. Ovary position, this is also very important. Hypogynous, perigynous and epigynous condition. So we are going to study about the flower in these heads. Okay. So the first one. In some flower like lily, the calyx and corolla are not distinct and termed as perianth. So calyx, here we cannot see any calyx or corolla like structure. Here only one appendage is present and that is called as perianth. When flower has both androecium and gynoecium, it is called bisexual flower. When the flower is either only stamen is present or carpel is present, then it is called as unisexual flower. So this is the sex of the flower. The flower on the basis of sex organ present, the flower can be bisexual when both the reproductive organ is present in the flower, and when only one of the reproductive organ is present, like either stamen or carpel, then it is called as unisexual flower. Now let us talk about the symmetry of the flower. In symmetry, the flower may be actinomorphic, that gives you the radial symmetry, zygomorphic, that gives you the bilateral symmetry. Okay, so let us discuss one by one. Actinomorphic. So when a flower can be divided into two equal radial halves in any radial plane passing through the center, it is said to be actinomorphic. So let us see this flower. So this is petal, this is another, this is another. Okay. So I am dividing the flower passing through the center. So it divides the flower in two halves. Now I am having one more this division which divide the flower into two equal halves. Again I am having one more division. So we are having a number of, you can say, a division line that divide the flower into two equal halves, right? So this is the radial symmetry. And the radial symmetry flower, the flower which possesses radial symmetry, are called as actinomorphic. The examples are mustard, dhatura and chili. So this is very important from the examination point of view. Actinomorphic, having the radial symmetry. Okay, moving forward. When it can be divided into two similar halves only. So I have only one plane that divides the flower into two equal halves. Okay, two halves. And I am having only one line or one plane. It is called as zygomorphic. In the last slide, actinomorphic, we have a number of plane that divides the flower into two equal halves. But here only one plane that divides the flower into two halves. Okay, so that is the zygomorphic condition. Example: pea, gulmohar, bean, and cassia. So these are some of the examples that is having zygomorphic, and that symmetry is called bilateral symmetry because it divides the flowers into two equal halves. Bilateral symmetry. A flower is asymmetric. A flower is asymmetric, that is called as irregular, if it cannot be divided into two similar halves by any vertical plane passing through the center, as in canna. So here the flower do not have any plane that can divide the flower into two equal halves. Okay, so that is the irregular symmetry, and such a flower is called asymmetric. Example is canna. Okay, now we are having trimerous flower, tetramerous flower, and pentamerous flower, depending the number of appendages, floral appendages the flower possesses. Okay, so a flower may be trimerous, tetramerous, pentamerous when the floral appendages are in multiple of 3, 4, and 5 respectively. So this is very, very important. Okay, bracteate flower and ebracteate flower. Ebracteate flower. The flower can be bracteate or ebracteate. The flowers with bracts, reduced leaves found at the base of the pedicel. Okay, so here you can see in the case of bougainvillea, it possesses the bracts, and the lower side of this pedicel, it do not have a leaf. Okay, and are called as bracteate, and those without bracts are called as ebracteate. Okay, so bracteate flower example is bougainvillea. Okay, now the position of ovary, where the ovary is present. So based on the position of calyx, corolla, and androecium in respect to the ovary on the thalmus, the flower are described as hypogynous, perigynous, and epigynous. So we are taking in consideration the position of calyx, corolla, and androecium. 4 whorls. The innermost whorl possesses ovary, that is a part of the pistil or carpel. So where the ovary is present, and what are the position of these 3 whorls? These 3 whorls, whether it is present below the ovary or above the ovary or in between the ovary. Okay, so on the basis of that, it is described as, flower can be described as hypogynous, perigynous, and epigynous. In hypogynous flower, the gynoecium occupies the highest position while the other parts are situated below it. So here you can see. So here you can see gynoecium. This is the position of gynoecium, right? And anther is present below it. This carpel is present below it. This calyx is present below it. So all the floral parts are situated below the gynoecium, and the ovary in such is said to be superior because it is present above all the floral whorl. So such an ovary is called as superior ovary. So the flower which possesses hypogynous flower, or the flower which is called as hypogynous flower, is having superior ovary, and the examples are mustard, China rose, and brinjal. Next, if the gynoecium is situated in the center and the other parts of the flower are located on the rim of the thallus, So here it is again, position is topmost, and here the rim, you can see the thalamus of rim is here, and all the floral parts like this calyx, corolla, and this is the male reproductive part, androecium, is present at this rim. In this also, it is present at this rim. So if you see the position of the ovary, it is half inferior and half superior. Okay, so this type of flower is called as perigynous flower. This is called as perigynous flower. So the ovary here is said half inferior, and the examples of such and flower are plum, rose, and peach. In epigynous flower now, the margin of the thalamus go upward. Now here, the margin of the thalamus go upward in this position, right? And the other floral whorl or parts are situated just above it. Okay, so in the epigynous flower, the margin of the thalamus grow upward, enclosing the ovary completely and getting fused with it. The other parts of the flower arise above the ovary. So ovary is below, the presence of ovary is just below the other floral parts. So hence the ovary is said to be inferior, as in flowers of guava, cucumber, and the ray florets of sunflower. So this is also a very important point from the examination point of view. All the three types of flowers, that is perigynous, epigynous, and hypogynous. Okay. Next, parts of the flower. Calyx. This is the outermost. Calyx is the outermost whorl of the flower, and the members are called as sepals. So these are the sepals, and unitedly it is called as calyx. Generally, sepals are green, leaf-like, and protect the flower in the bud stage, and they also do the process of photosynthesis. The calyx may be gamosepalous, sepals united. So here you can see the sepals are united, they are not free. Okay, so that if the calyx are united, then it is called as gamosepalous. Polysepalous, when the sepals are free, here you can see all the sepals are free. So then it is called as polysepalous. Examples of gamosepalous are hibiscus and China rose. And polysepalous example is rose. Next part of the flower is corolla. So corolla is composed of petals. Petals are usually brightly colored and attract insects for the pollination. So this is its function of the corolla. The shape of the color of the corolla vary greatly in plants. So different plants bear different color flower, and even the shape of the corolla varies. Okay, so corolla may be tubular, it is even sometimes bell shaped, funnel shaped, or even the wheel shaped. So different shape of the corolla is present. Aestivation. The mode of arrangement of the sepals or the petals in the floral bud with respect to each other member of the same whorl is known as aestivation. So here we will study about the aestivation, how the sepals, petals with respect to the other members of the whorl are arranged on the thalamus. So that is called as aestivation. So here we are having valvate, twistus, imbricate, and vexillary. One by one we will study about it. When the sepals or petals in a whorl just touch one another at the margin. So here you can see they just touch one another like this. Okay, without overlapping. They are not overlapping. Here you can see their end is not overlapping. So as in the case of calotropis, it is valvate. So such an aestivation is called a valvate aestivation when their margin just touch one another but they do not overlap each other. If the margin of the appendages overlap to the next, and this can be seen in China rose, lady's finger and cotton. This is called as twisted. So here you can see this and overlaps this one and this and overlap this one like this. So the ends of the appendages overlap with the next appendages. So this is called as twisted aestivation. This is called as twisted aestivation. If the margin of sepals or petals overlap one another but not in a particular direction as in cassia and gulmohar. So previous one we have seen that their overlapping is fixed, but here the overlapping is not fixed. So here both the ends are overlapped, but here only one end is overlapped. So the direction is not fixed. So this is called as imbricate aestivation. Overlapping is there, but the direction is not fixed. So this is imbricate aestivation, and examples are cassia and gulmohar. Cassia fistula and gulmohar. Next. In pea and bean flower, there are 5 petals. The largest standard overlap the lateral 2 petals, which is called as wing, which in turn overlap the 2 smallest interior petals, which is called as keel. So here this is the standard and this is the wings and this is the keel. So 2 and 2. Okay, so 2 lateral petals which in turn overlap the 2 smallest interior petals, and there are 5 petals, the largest. So this one is the 1 petal and this is the largest. This is not fused. This is the largest one and it is called as standard. 2 wings. This is 2 wings and this is 2 fused to form keel. So this type of aestivation here you can see is waxillary or papillonaceous. Okay. Now, androecium, male reproductive organ. Male reproductive organ of the flower. Okay, it is composed of stamen. And each stamen which represent the male reproductive organ consists of a stalk or a filament and the anther. So this is androecium. Androecium consists of many stamens. Now if we study about one stamen, then it will be having a filament and the anther is attached to it. Now inside the anther, they are having pollen grains. Each anther is usually bilobed and each lobe has 2 chambers of the pollen sac. So it is having structure like this. So this is one lobe and this is the another lobe. This lobe is having 2 chambers and this another lobe is also having 2 chambers of the pollen sac. The pollen grains are produced in the pollen sac. The sterile stamen is called staminode. Sometimes the stamen do not contain any pollen grain, and if they contain pollen grain also, then also it is not fertile. So such type of stamen are called as staminode, sterile. That is why it is called as sterile. The stamen of flower may be united with other members such as petals or among themselves. Here we are going to study about that. Stamens of the flower may be united with other members such as petals or among themselves. Okay, so when the stamens are attached to the petals, it is called as epipetalous. For example, it is found in brinjal. So here you can see the stamens are attached to the petals. So that is why it is called as epipetalous condition, and it is found in brinjal. Or epiphyllous when attached to the perianth, as in the flower of lily. So here it is perianth, not the corolla. Okay, it is not the petals here, it is perianth. So when they are attached to the perianth, it is called as epiphyllous condition. For example, lily. The stamen in a flower may be either remain free, that is called as polyandrous, or may be united in the varying degree. So here we can see all the pollen, all the stamens are free. Okay, so that is called as polyandrous stamen. The stamen may be united into one bunch or a bundle. So that is called as monoadelphous. It is present in one bunch. All are united in one bunch. So monoadelphous stamen, and it is found in China rose. The two bundle, diadelphous, as in P. So here 9 plus 1 condition. So all the stamens are unitedly present. So that is the 9th. 9 stamen united. Okay, and one stamen is free. So two groups. We are having two groups. One group is having 9 stamen and another group is having only 1 stamen. So 9 plus 1 condition. But two bundles are there, then it is called as diadelphous. So this is the diadelphous stamen condition. In more than two bundles, then it is called as polyadelphous, as in the case of citrus. So here you can see this is the one bundle, this is the another bundle of stamen, this is the another, and this is also one more. So polyadelphous stamen, and this is found in citrus. Citrus. Diadelphous is found in P. Okay, and monoadelphous is found in China rose. There may be variation in the length of the filaments within a flower, as we can see in the case of salvia and mustard. So in salvia, it is characterized by two lever-like stamen. So upper stamen is fertile and the lower one is sterile. So here we are having two level of stamen. Okay, one is fertile, this upper is fertile, and the lower one is sterile generally. So when any mosquito or any fly comes and stick here, all this pollen grain get attached to the body of it, and when it move to the another flower, that pollen grain get attached to the stigma of the carpel. Okay, now tetradynamous condition in the mustard. Here also we are having 4 longer stamen inside and 2 smaller stamen outside. So here 4 plus 2 condition. 4 plus 2 condition. So here we can see 4 stamen which are longer and 2 are smaller. They are present at the different level. So here also we can find out the length of the filament, variation in the length of the filament. Gynoecium is the female reproductive part of the flower and it is made up of one or more carpel. So gynoecium, it is the female reproductive part of the flower. Okay, and carpel consists of three parts, namely stigma, style, and ovary. So here we can see this is the stigma part, this is the longer tube-like structure style part, and the lower swollen or the bulbous, that is called as ovule. Inside the ovule, so carpel consists of three parts, namely stigma, style, and ovary. So this is the uppermost stigma, bifid structure, tube-like structures, style, and the lowermost is the swollen or the bulbous part, that is ovary. Ovary, and inside the ovary, ovule is present. So ovary is the enlarged basal part on which lies the elongated tube, the style. The style connects the ovary to the stigma. So here the stigma is present, here the ovary is present, and the stigma and ovary are joined with the help of style. The stigma is usually at the tip of the style and it is the receptive surface of the pollen grain. So this is the receptive surface. Stigma is the receptive. Pollen grains falls on it and it gets stick to it, because some chemicals substances are there, and that chemical substances also helps to germinate it. So each ovary bears one or more ovules attached to the flattened cushion like placenta. So here you can see ovule is there and it is attached to the placenta region. When more than one carpel is present, they may be free or they may be fused. Okay, so when free, as in the case of lotus and rose, it is called as apocarpous condition. So here we can see when they are free, we can say apocarpous. So here all the carpels are free. The number of carpels are there and it is free. They are termed as syncarpous when carpels are fused, as in the case of mustard and tomato. So here all the carpels are fused. There are number of carpels, but they all are fused. Okay, after fertilization, the ovules develops into seed and the ovary matures into fruit. Now the last one is about placentation. The arrangement of the ovules within the ovary is known as placentation. How the ovules are arranged inside the ovary, that gives you the placentation. The placentation are of different types, namely marginal, axial, parietal, basal, central, and free central. So there are different types of placentation. In marginal placentation, the placenta forms a ridge along the ventral suture of the ovary and the ovules are born on the ridge among the two rows. So here we can see this is the ridge, this is the ovule structure, and inside the ovules, this is attached to the margin of the ridge. So that is why it is called as marginal placentation. Example is P. When the placenta is axial and the ovules are attached to it in a multilocular ovary. So here it is the axial. Okay, axis, and they form a chambers. Okay, or forms the locules or chamber, and inside the locule to the central axis, ovules are attached. So this is called as axial placentation and it is found in China rose, tomato, and lemon. In parietal placentation, the ovule develops on the inner wall of the ovary or on peripheral part. So here you can see this is the inner wall of the ovary and ovules are attached to it. ovules are attached to it. So this is parietal placentation. Parietal placentation. Ovary is one-chambered, but it becomes two-chambered due to the formation of false septum. For example, mustard and argemone. Okay, ovary is generally one-chambered, but sometimes a false chambered is there. So that is called as formation of false septum. And this is found in the case of mustard and argemone. When the ovules are born on the central axis and the septa are absent. Okay. So here no septa is, there is one central axis and the ovules are attached to it, but there is no septa or locule formation. So in the case of dianthus and primrose, placentation is free central. Okay. The last one, the basal placentation. The placenta develops at the base of the ovary and a single ovule is attached to it, as in the case of sunflower and marigold. So here the ovule is attached to the base. The ovule is attached to the base of the ovary. So that is called as basal placentation. Okay. So this is all about the placentation as well as this particular part. So we will meet with one more session which will discuss about fruits and seeds. Okay. Till then, thank you very much.